Welcome to Bible Story Time, and thank you for joining us today as we explore one of the most heartbreaking and instructive moments in the Bible, the story of King David and Bathsheba. The sun beat down on the limestone walls of Jerusalem. It was the spring of the year, the season when kings went out to battle, when the fate of nations was decided on dusty plains with the clash of bronze and iron. Israel's army was in the field, laying siege to the Ammonite city of Rabbah. But King David, the giant slayer, the warrior poet, the man God had raised from a shepherd's field to a golden throne, stayed behind. One evening, unable to sleep, David walked along the flat roof of his palace. It was a position of privilege, a place to look out over the city he ruled. But on this night, his idle eyes were not surveying his kingdom. They were prying into the private life of his people. From the rooftop, he saw a woman bathing. She was stunningly beautiful. A moment of temptation, a flicker of desire. But a king has a choice. A man after God's own heart has a path of righteousness he can walk. David chose a different path. He sent a messenger to find out who she was. The reply came back, "She is Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam and the wife of Uriah the Hittite." The words should have been a fortress wall, stopping him cold. Bathsheba, a name, a daughter, a wife, and not just any wife, but the wife of Uriah, one of his most elite and loyal soldiers, a man who was at that very moment risking his life for David's kingdom. But David's power had become a poison. His desire overshadowed his integrity. He sent his messengers to bring her to the palace, and in an act of selfish desire and absolute authority, he lay with her. The sin was secret, hidden behind the palace walls. But sin rarely stays in the dark. Soon, a simple, terrifying message arrived for the king. "I am pregnant." The crisis ignited a panic in David's heart. He, the man after God's own heart, now became a man of schemes. His first plan was deception. He recalled Uriah from the front lines, pretending to want a battle report. His real hope was that Uriah would go home, sleep with his wife, and the child would then appear to be his own. But Uriah, a man of profound honor, refused. "The ark in Israel and Judah are staying in tents," he told the king, "and my commander Joab and my lord's men are camped in the open country. How could I go to my house to eat and drink and make love to my wife? As surely as you live, I will not do such a thing." Uriah's integrity was a blinding spotlight on David's corruption. So David tried again. He invited Uriah to eat and drink with him, getting him drunk, hoping to lower his resolve. But even in his wine, Uriah's loyalty was stronger than David's sobriety. He again slept at the entrance to the palace, refusing the comforts of his home. The cover-up had failed. And so, David's heart hardened completely. He picked up a pen. The hands that wrote beautiful psalms to God now wrote a death warrant. He ordered his general Joab to put Uriah in the front line where the fighting was fiercest, and then to pull back, leaving him to be killed. And he placed that letter, that sentence of death, into the hands of the very man he was condemning to die. Uriah the Hittite, faithful to the end, carried his own death warrant back to the battlefield and fell, just as the king had planned. When the news came, David married Bathsheba. The child was born. To the outside world, the scandal was contained. The cover-up was complete, but a silence hung in the air, heavier than any battle cry. For the last verse of this dark chapter tells us the most important truth. The thing David had done displeased the Lord. This story is not just about adultery and murder. It's about the anatomy of sin, how a moment of idleness leads to a lingering look, how a selfish desire leads to a catastrophic abuse of power, and how one sin requires a dozen more to cover it up. It's a stark reminder that no one is above temptation. Even the greatest hearts can be deceived when they drift from God's presence. But this story also sets the stage for one of the Bible's most powerful pictures of grace, because our God is a God of confrontation, repentance, and restoration. David's story doesn't end here. God sends a prophet to shatter his denial, leading to one of the most profound confessions ever written. Psalm 51. "Create in me a clean heart, O God." David, the great king, fell from his own rooftop palace. But another king, a descendant of David, would be lifted up on a cross. Where David took, Jesus gave. Where David acted in darkness, Jesus was the light of the world. Where David shed innocent blood for his own gain, Jesus shed his own blood for ours. David's fall reminds us of our own brokenness, but it points us to the only king who never failed, who never faltered, and whose grace is sufficient to cover even our darkest sins. If this story moved your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe, share. We bring you true, powerful stories from the Bible that still speak to us today.